Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
Well, now mentioning brother-sister combinations that have done well at the highest level of the sport. Hey, the Alexiaks.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's not forget about them. All right, thanks so much for that. Today's guests are brought to you by, several people submitted that. Today's guest brought to you by Langley Chrysler, including, he's standing by, J.P. Barry. They have the vehicle for your next summer adventure. We're talking Langley Chrysler. Whether you need a Jeep for the beach or a Ram for the fam, you can save up to $12,000 online or on land at langleychrysler.com, as we're joined by, from CAA Sports, hockey agent for Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, J.P. Barry. J.P., I know you've been very busy. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're off for 5 weeks, by the way, so that means Dollywall is not going to be bothering you for over a month now.
That's not true, JP.
I don't know if that's...
Yeah.
I don't remember him ever going more than 48 hours without bothering me.
Thank you.
I feel the same way. Hey, JP, we're talking to a British Columbia audience here. The latest on contract negotiations between the Canucks, Elias Pettersson, and Quinn Hughes.
We had to take a little bit of a hiatus with the craziness of the last several days. I think there was, so much going on with, just dealing with unrestricted free agents and some deadline deals that are going to arbitration. So, we had communication throughout, but I think we got to get right back at it here this weekend and next week, now that I think we know a lot about what the market's like and what things have happened. So I think hopefully it'll help everyone. One of the biggest challenges in any negotiation is just getting everyone on the same page on, the term of the contract. So that's been some of the things that we've been, we have to get through before we can push through to a final deal.
You mentioned that the terms of the contracts. What's more likely for Quinn and Elias, long-term, short-term?
That's the hard thing. There's got to be some flexibility on both sides. I think both players want to commit to Vancouver, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. It really comes down to, and we've seen there's a lot of work on the cap, and the cap, I know Rick follows it closely. I think the Vancouver cap's been in flux from every day of the last week. So I think we have a fairly good idea of where it is now, and I think we can kind of sit down and try and work out. But these deals are, especially the deals of the younger players, like they're affected by the term. Like the longer they are, the more unrestricted free agencies in the deal, then they can be larger deals. And then there's a decision. Sometimes teams, we've seen around the league, realize that if salaries are on the rise again, that maybe they are better off trying to secure some term from these players.
JP, so as soon as a UFA period started, teams can now make an offer sheet to Elias Pettersson. Can you talk about offer sheets? Have you had any interest? Do you expect any? What's the market like right now for offer sheets?
That thing develops over time. Usually any kind of offer sheet usually comes a little bit later in the process when they see that deals aren't completed. That's been my experience. You kind of see them in the dead of the summer, like the middle of August. Teams get a pulse that the other side can't match. That's the thing about an offer sheet. No team is going to place an offer sheet unless they're in really pretty comfortable position that it's not going to be matched. They don't want to put an offer sheet that can be easily matched. So, that's something that usually waits until there's a pretty clear-cut inability for a team to match.
JP, are you surprised somewhat? Training camps are on the corner. Did you think these deals would have been done by now, or are you not surprised?
I'm not surprised. They're difficult deals, and there's two of them, and Vancouver's cap is an issue. They're trying as much as they can to make changes with their cap, and I think they have done a lot of work on it. So I'm not surprised. I always felt it would be something that would get done sometime in August.
Louis Erickson, it's over, JP. Can you please tell us your conversation with Louis when he got traded, his reaction to Arizona?
He's just very relieved. He really wants to try to play another year. I know some people, think that he he cannot play at the elite NHL level anymore, and we disagree because we've seen him in some international play, and so I think he'll get an opportunity, and it's up to him. Like, he'll have to figure out where his minutes lie, but I think there's a little bit more opportunity there for him to show like he's still a very well-rounded player. So he's relieved. He wants to try and play 1,000 games in this league and go out with his head high, so he gets that opportunity.
Dougie Hamilton, what a great deal, JP. You got him in New Jersey. Talk a little bit about that, how that came about.
Well, I mean, the market for the defenseman didn't really kick in until around the draft. I mean, everyone was waiting for different things to happen, and obviously my partner did a heck of a deal on Seth Jones, which helped. When Seth Jones was traded and signed, that opened up the market, and I think it was pretty clear that Dougie was the next defenseman that's sort of at the very top of the market now, along with Seth, and we got some attention, and we just liked what, eventually when we got to free agency, we really liked what New Jersey had to say, and the level of commitment they had towards him was significant, so they definitely backed that up.
When you see or hear about someone like Braden Point signing for 8 years, $9.5 million per with Tampa Bay, do you look at that and say, hey, that's a comparison for Elias Pettersson?
Well, it's his third contract.
Okay.
You have to do the math a little bit on how the bridge syncs up with that deal, and everything in Tampa is a little bit more complicated too, because I went through this with Matthew Barzal last summer. Mm-hmm. What is 6.75 in Tampa versus elsewhere, and they have the most favorable tax status in the league. So a 9.5 in Tampa isn't, I can tell you it's not a 9.5 in Vancouver. So
right.
That deal is actually probably a little higher than it even looks, and Tampa takes advantage of that.
Matt Barzal's a more fair comparison, I would take it, JP.
Yeah, and he's up like Point. He did a deal a year after him, so Barzal did the bridge. So next summer, the Point contract is a direct comp for him, obviously.
Hey, JP, we recently saw video of Elias Pettersson shooting pucks in a basement. He looked good. What can you tell us about his wrist, about his health?
Yeah, he's worked really hard, and he wants to ramp up the shooting, and he feels good. So he told me that about 2 weeks ago. He was going to start firing pucks and really working on his wrist and his body. So he's in full sort of off-season mode, and because of his injury, he has to spend a lot of time on his wrists and shooting.
Hey, JP, what's your opinion of the job Jim Benning has done reworking his roster over the last couple of weeks, and is that opinion shared by Quinn and Elias?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jim had to make changes. Like, he had to make significant changes to retool the team, so they understood that. That's part of the reason why we've been patient to see what results and how we can sit down and get a deal done. But I'm not sure he's even done yet. So he may end up making some trades too. So it's definitely a roster and getting transitioned.
Hey, JP, Kevin Epp came on our station Monday and talked about the Vancouver market, the media, the negativity, the Canucks Twitter. Elias Pettersson took his Canucks logo off one of his Twitter accounts, and I remember you weren't yelling at me, but you're like, you guys are just too much in Vancouver. What do you think of the Vancouver market? And because you got two superstars in this client, what do you think of Vancouver and the market? Is it too much sometimes for players?
It can be, but it's not any more difficult than 7 or 8. It's a rabid hockey market. Like, let's give it its, I've been through it for years with the Sedins and, I had Matthias Oland when he went through it here, and Matt Sundin, obviously, when he was there for a little while. I mean, it's a great hockey market, so I don't mind that. I mean, Montreal and Toronto all have their challenges also, as do a few other U.S. markets. So I get a kick out of the Vancouver market. They love the game and they love their team.
JP, have a great summer. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, guys.